All right, I think I am audible. Good morning, everybody. This is Kashif Seharana, your host for today's workshop on characterization technique. I warmly welcome all of you to the first day of this workshop organized by IM Group of Researchers. I request all of you to please turn off your mics during the meeting so that we can hear our lectures clearly. Our dedicated group has organized 4 international conferences, 8 webinars, and 1 online course. Now we are diving into book chapters and 19 review articles with 98 authors, reflecting our commitment to excellence. And we have contributed to social causes like Flood Relief Fund and Palestine Relief Fund. I would like to express my gratitude to the remarkable individuals who have played vital roles in our success. Dr. Fahmida Jabin, the Executive Director and Patron in Chief from Bahauddin Zakir University, Multan. Dr. Adnan, our Director from University of Sawat, who have been actively involved. I extend my deepest appreciation to the Honorable Professor Dr. Maimuna Ghafoor Shahid, who served as patron and co-patron as well as our esteemed team members, founder of IM Group of Researchers, Mr. Azadul Islam, Dr. Sara Junaid, Akhtar Iqbal, Mushtaq Ahmed, Fezan Wasim, Atir Naeem, Safiya Khan, Nakshe Zohra, Halima Bibi, Hajra, and myself as well. Together, we lead this dynamic organization with unwavering dedication. I am excited to be part of this vibrant workshop. I am very grateful to all of you for joining us today. We will be moving towards our lectures shortly, so if anyone from your friends is missing, please inform them to join quickly as we are all set for our virtual platform of knowledge sharing workshop. So let's start our session with a few verses of Holy Quran. I would request Mr. Muhammad Idris Shah to please join for a recitation.
Okay. I am audible, ma'am.
Uh, yes,
Okay. أعوذ
Idris, your voice is muted.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين؟ أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين؟ صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. So let's move towards the first lecture of this workshop. Professor Dr. Fahmida Jabin is with us to deliver her lecture on microscopic techniques. She is Executive Director of IM Group of Researchers. Currently, she is working as Assistant Professor in the Institute of Chemical Sciences, Bahauddin Zakir University, Multan. Ma'am, I request you to start your lecture.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Dear researchers, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, and can you see the screen as well?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum and good morning again, our my dear researchers and young scientists. Of course, this is I would like to welcome you all on this two-day workshop, which is being organized by IM Group of Researchers. Now, before starting today's talk, I would like to introduce or would like to say a few words about this particular platform. So, I am a group of researchers basically aiming to provide you one of the most unique, first and foremost platform in Pakistan, which is committed to serve young researchers, students, and scientists. There are some of the attendees, of course, who have previously been a part of our different achievements in different talks. presentations and conferences, but there are new scientists who have joined us today. So they must be well aware that this group of research platform, it is basically a community. This community belongs to you people, as well as the part is played by experienced researchers, which are compiled to provide you research understanding based on the novelty of their ideas, to help you explore the versatile research modes, and to share different research experience in terms of international talks, well organized lectures, and workshops. So, the basic mission is to provide a collaboration between the prestigious researchers, well known professors, and help you to evaluate, to broaden your vision regarding your research and showcase your findings. So this platform is currently working, and the achievements are already shared with you. That multiple international conferences, webinars, and advanced courses have been arranged. So today's talk is basically about characterization techniques. Now, what is and why is characterization important? All of you, you are research students. One way or other, you have come across these characterization tools, maybe in your theory, or some of you have actually performed their research passion using this characterization. Now, why characterization is important? Because when we have developed any new material, or sometimes we develop a new method or strategy, or we modify any method, what happens is that we need to verify the features and the application. We need to ensure that whatever we are claiming the properties in present in that material after modifications, they have been apart, and that proof can be available by using these characterization techniques. So this webinar will help you to understand how to use these characterization techniques, what type of interpretation can help you to actually interpret the data which come across when you are working with these characterizations. So the most conventional ones are chosen
Excuse me,
for
ma'am.
this webinar. Among the
This page.
characterization techniques,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes,
I'm sorry for interruption. Your screen is not visible.
uh, can you repeat, please?
Your screen is not visible at this moment.
The slides are not visible.
Yes. Yes. It's shown now.
Okay, okay. Let me see if let me share it again. Okay, let me share the screen again so that we can start over again.
All right.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, I think when I go to the whole slideshow, that is the reason that it's not playing. Maybe. Can you see it now? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So let's move ahead with the characterization, because today we are going to talk about microscopy. Okay. Now, microscopy, as the word say, that you are going to observe your, or you are going to visualize your material. Why visualization of your material is important? Because when we prepare something new, which is in micro or nano size, we are well aware that the size, shape, and surface, they matters a lot when particular application is required. So the morphology, the look of your material, which is actually the topography, and the whole imaging is required. It helps you to understand what your material is going to look like when you are going to apply it in a certain application or in certain characteristic features. So today we are going to start, or we are going to discuss a few of the microscopic techniques which are more conventional and which are more being used by the researchers. No doubt these are not the few ones. There is a huge list of microscopic techniques which are being available. But today, due to the limitation of time, we are going to discuss scanning electron microscopy, transmission electron microscopy, and of course, energy dispersive X-ray spectroscopy, because they are coupled with this SEM and TEM imaging modules. Now, starting with scanning electron microscopy, as the name indicates that we are going to image something by using electrons. We are going to scan your material using electrons as a source of imaging. Now, why the electron are used and why we have to replace the optical light? Optical light do not give you the image at micro and particularly at nano size. So we need something else. We need the replacement. So that is why these electron microscopes, they are able to visualize, to give you the whole scan pattern at microscopic and nanoscopic level. Now, when these electrons they interact with your samples, they give you certain information, particularly about the topography, which includes, of course, the shape, the size, the look of your material, the composition, that what your material is composed of, which is very important. And of course, knowing these two or three features, we can actually interpret, okay, fine, your material is conductive, your material is crystalline, your material having or more complementary features. So that is why knowing or having SEM is important as a characterization tool when you are working or designing new materials. So before starting the details about how to interpret these images, I would like to first introduce a little bit about the instrumentation of electron microscopy.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry for
Yes,
interruption again. Your slide
yes.
is not moving. I think you should continue manually moving the slides.
Okay. It means it's not working, right? Okay,
Yes.
okay. So let me then start somehow from here. It will be more easier for me to help you understand the instrumentation because I wanted the instrumentation to be covered up. Okay, now can you see the screen, all of you?
Yes, it's visible now.
Is it working? Okay. So before going into the interpretation, we are going to talk about different instrumentation patterns of a scanning electron microscope. So this is a few models, or let's say a look of scanning electron microscope. So if I remove the whole packaging, this is how a scanning electron microscope works. Obviously, starting from the source, that is electron gun, producing the primary source of electron, which are actually being focused on your sample. You have anode with different accelerating voltage range. Now here, why accelerating voltage is required? This is very important. Accelerating voltage help you to focus, or let's say to brighten or darken the image. So selection of accelerating voltage is really important. Moving ahead, magnetic lens scanning coils, they are present and they help you to focus. I am getting messages. Can't you see the screen, students?
Ma'am, it's black screen. Your slides are
Can
not working properly.
because I have shared the
Ma'am,
data,
your
if you
screen is
people can
black,
play it.
not so any.
Ma'am, screen recordings.
Okay. Uh, I have shared already this data. If you can share, if this is blank, then it means can that. Let me try it once again. Otherwise, the share data you can share it. Okay. Let me.
Yes, ma'am. We can share if it's not working at your side.
Okay. Then let me start it once again. Otherwise, you can share it on your behalf. Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Now I have chosen the whole screen and I have started this again. Now, is it still blank?
No, it's the
It's
slide of
visible
scanning
now.
electron microscopy.
You can see the screen now, right? You can see the
Yes,
images
Uh,
moving.
video is playing
yes, ma'am.
already.
It
Clear.
was playing. Okay. That's good. Now, it means I have to repeat what I have said earlier so that you can again see it. Okay. Now, I was talking about this particular instrumentation of SEM, and here why we need different accelerating voltage, because it helps you to brighten or darken the image. Now, the magnetic and scanning coils, they are present to focus your beam. Okay. Now, we have three types of detector in SEM: backscattered, secondary electron detector, and of course, energy dispersive X-ray detector. Now, why we have these three detectors, we are going to talk about it in later, so that when we are talking about interpretation, because detection is more important, and why we have to choose one of the detector or we have to choose all. Okay, now moving ahead, basically your SEM, it have a primary source of electron. They generate secondary electron, backscattered electron, and X-rays. Now, if you can see the view, maybe I'm sure you can see it. The secondary electron imaging is actually from the surface. When primary electron hit the surface of your material, they produce secondary electron, giving a certain look, giving an image, a picture of your material, that how does the surface look like. But it will not tell you that what is the density, is it somehow what is the compo or topography of your material. So it just gives you information about the surface. Okay, so this is secondary electron imaging. The second one is backscattered electron imaging. First, what are backscattered electrons? When your primary electron hit the surface, number of scattered electrons are produced in different dimensions. These scattered electrons, they are also collected, and they help you to actually have a better, deeper image, giving the compositional and topographic information of your material. So that is why backscatter electron imaging complements secondary electron imaging. The third phenomena which is happening inside uh, SEM or microscope is EDX, that is energy dispersive X-ray. Now, this detector particularly collects all the X-rays produced. Now, the question here arises, where are X-rays coming from? Basically, when these primary electrons, they hit the surface, they remove the electron from the inner shells. For example, you can see the primary electron is coming and it's removing an electron. Now there is a hole created. That hole is filled up by the electrons from the upper shells. When this phenomena happens, a characteristic X-ray is produced. That characteristic X-ray is very, let's say, selective to the nature of a metal. Means X-rays produced by copper are totally different from that of potassium, as it can be seen. So you can have the area mapping showing different metal compositions in the spectra. So this is all about different imaging modules which you can have when you are working with scanning electron microscope. Now let's move ahead with interpretation and tips and tricks, that how you can interpret, because this theory already most of you, when you are going through your MPhil or PhD theory lectures, you are well aware about the depth and instrumentation of SEMs. So I was more interested. Can you hear all of you and see the screen?
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry for disturbing. I think there is some kind of issue at your side. Your
Okay,
video is not playing.
the video is not playing. Okay, uh, uh, let me see what's happening, because on my part it's fine. I don't know.
Dr. Sarah, please coordinate with ma'am. I think you should share the screen.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Screen is
Yes,
visible,
ma'am.
but video was not playing.
Uh,
Ma'am, everything is playing. I think she is not setting her Gmail. जी मतलब उनका अकाउंट सही नहीं चल रहा मेरे ख्याल में. सब सही चल रहा है हमारी तरफ तो.
All
आपके
right, if it's
सब
fine.
कुछ सही चल रहा है, इट्स फाइन.
जी मैम,
ठीक,
वीडियोस भी, और
चले
इनको चाहिए कि आप जहाँ से आपका अकाउंट आ रहा है उसको फुल स्क्रीन करें, वहाँ से इनका स्लाइड शो भी चलेगा और वीडियोस भी ऑन हो जाएंगी.
चले ठीक हो गया. चले जी, इट्स हेल्पफुल. आई रियली वांट कि हम थोड़ा सा इंटरप्रिटेशन और इसके ऊपर ज़रूर बात कर लें बिफोर वी आर रनिंग आउट ऑफ टाइम, एंड आई डोंट वांट दिस. So if there will be some shortage, we will skip the instrumentation, okay? But I don't want to skip the interpretation. अगर आप लोगों को लगे कि स्टिल मेरी आवाज़ कट रही है या वीडियो डिस्प्ले नहीं हो रही, तो प्लीज़ डू लेट मी नो. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गो फॉर द स्लाइड शो, बिकॉज उससे मुझे लगता है कि आप लोगों का स्टक हो जाती है स्क्रीन एंड इट्स नॉट मूविंग. सो वी आर गोइंग टू मूव. इज इट ओके? ये ठीक है?
Yes, ma'am. It's
Okay.
yes, ma'am. It's
चलिए,
absolutely okay.
let's talk about SEM micrograph and some tips and tricks for you people. Being a student, आप उन tips and tricks के साथ कैसे work कर सकते हैं. Now, अभी हमने थोड़ी देर पहले before starting the instrumentation, I talked that we have selection of detectors. Okay, why we have this detector and how come you know that you आपको secondary electron detection करनी or you have to go for backscatter electron detection or you need EDX or not? When will you decide this? Basically, if your material has specific composition, means you are working with, let's say, nano composite having different metals. Okay, you have iron, you have nickel, you have zinc, you have graphene sheets. It means you are working with a lot of composition. There you might actually be interested to have that what is the composition of my material. Is graphene present? Means is carbon present? Is it nickel there? How much iron is present? That moment you need EDX. But if you're just working with silica, for example, you are just modifying the surface of silica, and you are well aware that silica, apart from silica and oxygen, there is no other element. You can skip the EDX. If you are more interested in, let's say, only the surface, okay, fine, I already know what is the topography. I just want to see the particles which I want to attach on graphene, are they being attached? You can just start with the surface backscatter electron detection, or you can just work with the surface. You can go for secondary electron detection, but mostly the image you received, they are complementary to both of this. Okay, both of these images, they are being joined and then they forward you the image. So this type of detection choices is mostly between you need the imaging or you need elemental composition. So if you really need that elemental composition, you can go for it. Otherwise, you can skip that part. Secondly, is that how can you practice? How online, is there some online imaging tools? Of course, there is. The first one which I like to share is SEM simulator. If you really want to see that how you can focus an image, you can actually train yourself. This is present online, and if you will click on this particular link, this is basically a web link. If you will share it, of course, then the webinar will be over and this presentation data will be shared with you, or you can contact the respective people of IM Group of Researchers. They can provide you with these web links. Now, what will happen that this SEM simulator can help you to observe specific parameters which are required for perfect imaging. So you can actually tell that person who is recording on your behalf that, okay, fine, this is the range I want to choose. This is the focusing images. This should be my magnification. I want to work on 500 nanometers. I want to work with 1 micrometers. Okay, so you can choose actually the best parameter. So this simulator is very helpful for the students who want to learn and project their research ideas. The second software is also very important, and this is ImageJ software. Now, this ImageJ software, it actually help you for image processing. You can easily online, you can just download it in your laptops, and this ImageJ software, it can help you to perform a lot of functions. For example, it can help you to calculate the area, okay, and the pixel values. It can help you to create the density histograms. You can tell how much dense is your material. It can help you to for particle size distribution. Generally, the ImageJ software look like this, that you just upload the SEM image which you have received or which you have recorded yourself, and by using different functions present on this ImageJ software, you can actually compile, process your image. This is very important. So you can download this ImageJ software. A complete tutorial, it can be requested. It is also present online with the ImageJ software website. You have the tutorial, you just follow it and you can process your image. The second is particle size distribution. Students are usually confused that what is particle size distribution and what does this information tell us. You see, sometimes we are working with an application where we do not need different sizes of particles. For example, you are preparing a chromatographic stationary phase. Now, this chromatographic stationary phase, if it have a lot of heterogeneous particles, then it will be difficult for packing. So mostly we recommend that it should be homogeneous. Now, how will you tell that the particles are homogeneous or heterogeneous, or which you have chosen is how much is the range of the size which is present in your sample? So particle size distribution, actually, it can help you to decide whether you have a narrow range, means you have only 10 to 20 and 30 nanometer size in your material, or you are having 10 to 100 nanometer, means a huge range of particle sizes is present. So it complements your application. When you are highlighting some features, it is very important for you people to actually tell what is your particle size distribution. Particle size distribution calculation can be done by ImageJ software. Once you upload the image into this software, it will help you to calculate, to provide the data which you can use on Excel sheets to plot a histogram. And this histogram can actually tell you the average particle size. This information is usually present when you come across different research articles. There is average size is given as well as particle size distribution word is used. So you can calculate it in your home using your laptop. You don't need the whole SEM microscope in your laboratory or in your access. Okay, you can do it in within your laptops. The particle size distribution information is also very important when we are talking about SEM imaging. Now, talking about this whole, because it's very important for you to practice, let's practice a little bit. Now, this is one of the image, silica. All of you are well familiar with the word silica. Now, silica, we know that silica nanoparticles, or let's say microparticles also, they are usually spherical. If I want to see it under the microscope, electron microscope, you can observe the image A. They are usually porous. If you can see the surface is porous. Okay. It is homogeneous. So at 500 nanometers, you are having homogeneous spherical nanoparticles with narrow particle size distribution. This is the wording of interpretation which you can use in your research. For example, I applied some treatment, some chemical treatment on the surface, and when the chemical treatment is applied, the surface is more porous, or let's say it is being modified. Now I want to see the modification. So if it is being performed in different steps, you can see yourself that in every step the surface area is changing. Okay, the surface area is creating more porosity. You can see itself that the surface is, you can visualize the change in your SEM images. This is what SEM micrography helps you to understand. You can justify your treatment. Okay, yes, whatever treatment I have chosen for this silica, it is working. The surface area is enhanced. It is being improved by the chemical treatment, by the physical treatment. So you are actually helping. This data is actually helping to complement the chosen strategy by you people. Second example is of let's take fibrocellulose. Okay, why I chosen this particular SEM micrograph is because sometimes students do not understand that why we have these parameters, and they remove them, they crop them out. Do not do this, please. Do not crop this particular information, because this information helps the reviewer, your supervisor, to understand that how much more magnification is required if certain information is missing in the image. For example, this particular image is recorded at 200 micrometer. It doesn't mean that your fibers are 200 micrometer. No, this is basically the zoom size where that clear image was taken by the SEM micrographs. Okay, so this is basically, this is not the size. You have to calculate size, which you can do, of course, by ImageJ software. Now, fibrocellulose, of course, you can see, and also if you clearly observe this image, there are small etchings on the surface as well. So this is basically surface functionalization done on the commercial cellulose. So whoever performed this research, they have taken up cellulose and they have performed some chemical, or let's say some surface functionalization, and they observed it, they visualize it by using SEM micrographs. So you can claim actually, yes, this fibrocellulose is now being modified. Moving ahead, this is actually a complete information which you can collect from an SEM micrograph. You can observe the changes in the morphology at different zoom levels. Okay, you can see that what is happening when you certain application, or let's say certain steps are being followed. For example, if we can see, this is basically pure, this is basically iron oxide, the magnetic nanoparticle. And we know that the iron oxide usually agglomerates. Okay, when you try to focus them, when you try to take the image, they are usually present in chunks because of its high magnetic power and hydrophilic nature. So what happens, you can see that they are very nice and sharp, but once they were modified with silica, because silica coating is done, their agglomeration was, you can see that agglomeration and the surface is being changed. Now, EDX is also performed for this particular, and we know that there is iron, there is oxygen, and there is silica. And if there is something else present, it means there are impurities. The washing was not done proper. The impurities means that some contamination has been occurred. So you have to go back, retrace your steps to see what actually happened wrong. So EDX analysis is somehow recorded like this, and particular elements give you specific peaks. They are always complementary, they are always restricted, just like what happens in FTIR. That if you have a specific functional groups, you will have a specific peak. Okay, same is happening over here. So in EDX, you get information about the percentage of that element present in your material. For example, in this case, current case, we have expected iron, silica, and oxygen. So the highest concentration is of oxygen because it is a part of silica as well as iron. Okay. Secondly, because we have used iron, it means it was the template, it was present in more proportion as compared to silica. Second thing is about this, the K values. Why this K is written? There is also L sometime written. It means the electrons, the which was they actually, the primary electrons, they remove the electron from the K shells. So the X-rays produced are from the K filling. Okay, there are shells K, L, and so on. So the electrons which were displaced to produce the X-rays, they were from the K shells. So they are X-rays that produce the signals. They are actually produced because of the filling up of the K shells. That is why K is written. Sometimes L signal is also produced. It means the signal, the X-rays was produced by filling the shells of L shell. Okay, so this is basically how you see any EDX spectra and what sort of information you can collect. So mostly the person who have recorded EDX, they do have the software. They provide you with the spectra as well as they provide you with this particular EDX tabular data. Now moving ahead, this is a clear difference of secondary electron and backscattered electron imaging. Now, if you really want to work at this huge level, means for you really have some immunohistograms, or let's say you are working on biological molecules, you are going to label them. This is also example of a surface protein. You want to see what happens at the surface. Okay, what is happening. So you can see this is a secondary electron. A very simple surface information is provided by secondary electrons. But when you perform backscattered imaging, you can see, you can identify specific parts where modification is being done. Or let's say basically these are gold nanoparticles which are embedded on the surface of the proteins. You can see the difference. Okay, so you can actually request that SEM person who have that microscope, that they can help you to record these two detection, secondary electron detection as well as backscatter electron detection. If you really want to identify, you want to show the differentiation between the modification, this can be done. Moving ahead, this is also one of the way to represent SEM micrographs. Now, if you receive such sort of micrograph, mostly it happens when you modify the surface with metals. For example, mostly students go for graphene sheets, silica, cellulose, polymer surfaces, and they modify the surface with some sort of metals. Now, when you modify with metals, you can actually map them out, that where is your specific metal present. So that is known as EDX mapping. So you can do that by using SEM. Okay, SEM EDX coupled instrument. Now, for example, in the current case, we have copper, nickel, or the nitrogen. But this is not actually nitrogen. This is basically a combination of CuN and N. So you can see the copper and nickel, they are present. So you can observe the image on the surface. You can see where is my copper present, which is being highlighted with the red, and how much nickel is present. Okay, nickel is where it is being mapped out. So you can see that is it evenly distribution of your metal, or some of the metal is chunked somewhere else. So you can actually interpret the even distribution of your metal composition on the surface by using SEM micrographs. The last information is EDX mapping. Mostly students they do not use this word EDX mapping, or they do not understand this word. As previous image have illustrated, that if you are working with number of elements in your material, you can present them, locate them on your material surface. For example, this is a particular template which have silica, iron, lead, and carbon, surface silica carbon. Okay, they have been loaded. So if you just want to see how much silica is present, you can see only this a few yellow spots are present. It means very few silica lining is there. Then you can see the iron, which is actually a huge lump inside because it's a core shell particle. Then the lead is also present and it is being highlighted separately, and you can finally see it. So you can go for color representation of selected element in the sample. And this is more appropriate when you are working with, let's say, energy storage devices. Okay, when you are working, you are generating new electrodes. When the electrodes have combinations, you are preparing semiconductors and they have specific metals, and you really want to show how much metal density and where that metal is present. So EDX mapping is important over there. But if you're just working with the journal nanoparticles, okay, you're preparing a nanocomposite, EDX mapping is not very helpful because you don't need it. Okay, so you have to be very careful in what you are presenting or giving off in your results. So sometimes it is required, and sometimes it is not helpful. It is not actually helping you out in your particular research. So that characterization part, you can exclude it when you are working on your research. So this was little bit about the interpretation and some online forums where you can go and you can work with essays. Now, let's start the second part because we have limited time. We are going to quickly talk about transmission electron microscopy, and we will go through the interpretation. Now, if we talk about transmission electrons microscopy, SEM and TEM, they are mostly linked. There is a very few differences in their instrumentation and recording patterns, giving you a totally different image. Now, TEM is basically linked to shadow imaging. Shadow imaging means that you are penetrating the electrons through your image. So when there will be high density, the shadow will be light. When there will be holes, less density, the shadow will be, different. So this is basically a TEM. Of course, it will start with an electron source, an anode with electric voltages, then the lenses to focus the beam, and the most important is the platform. The sample is placed between, just after the focusing beam. It is not placed at the end, which actually happened in SEM. Because in SEM, you can see that the sample was placed at the end of the instrumentation. Here it is present between, because you have to transmit through your sample the electrons, and the image will be created on a fluorescence. So this is the operation of how TEM records any image. Okay, the primary electrons, they pass through the lenses, they get focused, they penetrate through your material, and then whatever the penetration occurs, the change in electron beam occurs, it is being recorded, again condensed and recorded on a fluorescent images, because when they strike the fluorescent screen, they produce a certain image. They actually produce a shadow actually of that material which you have placed in between the primary source and the fluorescent screen. So this is how TEM works when it is operative. Now this is an example of bismuth sulfide they have taken, and they are going to record the image on the fluorescent screen. The important part is that when you need TEM, is TEM always important? Remember, transmission electron microscope, or let's say very in simple words, shadow imaging is required when you are working with layered materials. Means when you want to see what is inside my material. When you are working with core shell nanoparticles. when you are working with MOFs, when you are working with layer by layer monolithic structures. So in that at that moment, TEM helps you to understand what is present inside your material, what sort of layering, what is the thickness of your layering, and you can actually record that shadow image. Now, let's move ahead with our presentation and see the interpretation. Talking about transmission electron microscopy interpretation or images, this is how you record or how your TEM images look like. Now, this is again iron oxide because previously we have seen the SEM images of iron oxide nanoparticles. Now, we have talked that iron oxide as a core and silica as a shell. Now, you can see that you can clearly observe there is a core with a coating a shell, and you can see the thickness of shell, that how much silica coating is being done. Mostly in most of the application, this thickness matter, how much coating you need, okay, how much layering you need. That is why TM images helps you to understand this particular feature when you are working with layered materials. Okay, so this was one of the examples. The second is TEM elemental mapping. Of course, this is I don't know that this information is being passed on to you people, that we only think that SEM is linked to EDX only. No, you can perform EDX as well with TEM. Okay, so elemental mapping can be done with TEM, transmission electron microscopy as well. Here is one of the examples. You can see that a composite having the elemental mapping is done for a material having silica, nickel, aluminium, and tin. So you can clearly differentiate that all of those metals, they have compiled different density on the template of silica. Okay, so this is elemental mapping. As I have told you before, it can be done by EDX analysis. Second important part is crystalline nature. Well, mostly it is very obvious that for crystallinity we move for XRD. Okay, we perform XRD, X-ray diffraction analysis to ensure the crystalline nature of our material. But in this case, TEM images can be used to see the crystallinity of any material. Basically, it is a high resolution TEM image, and complementary to that XRD images, they are also, you can add them to see that both of them, they complement to the crystalline nature of your material. A more sharp image is over here, that if you want to clearly show that after modification or after synthesis you have chosen the crystallinity is present, you can actually tell the amorphous region and crystalline region of that material. It mostly happens when students they work with templates like graphene, like metal composites, like MOFs. They need to confirm the crystalline nature, the crystalline region, or the after modification the amorphous nature. So this is important. This information of elemental composition, shadow imaging, and obviously the crystalline nature of your material, it can be helpful when we are working with TEM. Now, in the end, of course, end of the lecture, I would like to say how will you see SEM and TEM? Of course, they are different from one another in terms of instrumentation, in terms of their applying voltages, in terms of their sample preparation methods. But the most important part is that what type of information you receive when you are working with SEM or when you are working with TEM. So clearly, again, I would like to repeat that when you work with SEM, the surface composition contrast, morphology, and topography can be achieved. You can have that appearance, 3D appearance. But when you are working with the TEM material, you can have that diffraction contrast imaging, means you can have the amorphous crystalline nature, you can have the layering, you can have the particularly the internal structure. So that is basically 2D appearance of the material. So it is your choice that what type of visualization you need for your material. Is it 3D, is it 2D, or what features you want to highlight. So that will actually, that particular criteria will actually help you to choose between SEM and TEM imaging. So this was a little bit about the interpretation or let's say the SEM and TEM information, which can help you when you are characterizing. In the end, I would like to say that whenever you choose any characterization, first list down what features you want to prove, what features are actually important for you for that material. Once you have highlighted those features, then you choose different characterization techniques or tools which actually help you to provide that certain information so that you can actually add it to your application. Otherwise, choosing a random characterization will actually bring you out of your application code. It will not help you a lot. Okay, it is not always necessary to choose everything, but it will be more appropriate for you to choose very selective, modified, and more informative characterization tools for your research, totally depending on what you want to work on. So this was all about SEM, TEM, and EDX. If you have any questions, please you can ask me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fahmida, for your time and sharing nice words regarding a young group of researchers. It was really an informative lecture, and it surely will gonna help during our research journey. I thank you again for being here. It's time for some questions. Now, if you want to ask some question, raise your hand and you will be allowed to ask one by one.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैडम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैडम।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
मैडम ये कैरेक्टराइजेशन टेक्निक जो सेम टाइम है ना, इसके ज़रिए हम बायोकेमिस्ट्री में जो बायोलॉजिकल मॉलिक्यूल्स होते हैं लाइक प्रोटीन के, उसके हम बायोमास यानी उसका जो हम ये मालूम करते हैं कि इस प्रोटीन में कितने अमीनो एसिड है, इसका चेन कितना लंबा है, ये हम इस पे मालूम कर सकते हैं ना, इसमें उसकी यूज़ है।
देखिए, प्रोटीन कैरेक्टराइजेशन जो आपने बात की, प्रोटीन कैरेक्टराइजेशन बिल्कुल हो सकती है, बट अगेन आप उसके सरफेस के ऊपर बात कर सकते हैं, आप उसकी कंपोजिशन के बारे में बात कर सकते हैं. This both techniques they can help you to understand the composition of your protein, but again only elemental level. वो आपको ये नहीं बता सकते how many peptides, how many amino acid, but yes it can tell you how much carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfide. Because if your protein, particular protein, आप कहते हैं कि जी उसका quaternary structure disturb है और उसमें it means कि उसमें disulfide linkage नहीं है. Disulfide linkage mean there is no sulfide present. अगर आप उसकी एलिमेंटल कंपोजिशन करेंगे तो सल्फाइड एस का जो पीक है EDX में वो नहीं आना चाहिए. सल्फाइड लिंकेज इज एब्सेंट, योर क्वाटर्नरी स्ट्रक्चर इज डिस्टर्ब. आपने जो है वो जो भी प्रोटीन डिजाइन किया है या बनाया है, ठीक है, वो जो है उसकी एलिमेंटल कंपोजिशन आप कर सकते हैं, उसका सरफेस दे सकते हैं. मोस्टली हम बायोलॉजिकल मॉलिक्यूल्स में सरफेस फंक्शनलाइजेशन के लिए SEM और TEM को यूज कर सकते हैं.
Khan, please ask your question. Okay, Rubina, you may continue.
मैडम, अगर हमने इंटरकलेशन देखनी हो कि किसी मतलब ऐसा सरफेस है जो लेयर्ड सरफेस है, उसमें कोई मॉलिक्यूल इंटरकलेट हुए हैं, तो क्या हम इसमें कौन सा टेक्निक जो है ना वो हमारे लिए ज़्यादा सूटेबल होगा?
आप लेयर्ड स्ट्रक्चर में इमेज आप TEM के लिए रिकॉर्ड कीजिए, ठीक है, उसमें आपको लेयरिंग की थिकनेस आ जाएगी. वो थिकनेस जो है वो जो आपके लिए TEM रिकॉर्ड कर रहे होते हैं वो भी उसको हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं. अदरवाइज आपको जो सॉफ्टवेयर मैंने बताया इमेज जे सॉफ्टवेयर, आप उसके ज़रिए भी उसको खुद से कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं. वो आपको प्रॉपर सरफेस एरिया भी देता है, वो आपको प्रॉपर अलाइनमेंट भी देता है, वो आपको पूरी मटेरियल की प्रोफाइलिंग कर देता है कि उसमें लेयर्स जो हैं वो कितनी थिकनेस पे, कितने डिस्टेंस पे मौजूद हैं और कितनी थिकनेस पे मौजूद हैं.
थैंक यू सो मच.
ओके.
Assalamu alaikum. Madam, I have a question. So, on slide number 17, you mentioned that we can do different treatments, right, before doing SEM. So, can you mention about different treatments, physical or chemical treatments?
श्योर। फॉर एग्जांपल सिलिका के केस में, क्योंकि स्लाइड 17 पे हमने सिलिका की बात की थी, सिलिका में यूजुअली स्टूडेंट्स जो हैं वो सरफेस मॉडिफिकेशन की बात करते हैं या सरफेस फंक्शनलाइजेशन की, जैसे अमाइनो मॉडिफिकेशन कि आप अमाइनो ग्रुप इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाह रहे हैं उसके सरफेस के ऊपर टू हैव अ सेलेक्टिव अफिनिटी, या फिर आप उसको रिवर्स फेस बनाना चाह रहे हैं, ठीक है, अपना नॉर्मल सिलिका लेके आप अपनी लेबोरेटरी के अंदर एक रिवर्स फेस डिजाइन करना चाह रहे हैं, तो आप कहेंगे जी मुझे उस पर C18 लगाना है, ऑक्टाडिसाइलामीन के जरिए आप उस पर C18 लिंकेजेस लगा सकते हैं। हमारी बड़ी थॉरो रिसर्च रही है मेरे ग्रुप की ऑन डिफरेंट सरफेस फंक्शनलाइजेशन। वी हैव डेवलप्ड एक्चुअली द स्ट्रेटजीज यूजिंग, फॉर एग्जांपल रिवर्स फेज आपने बनानी, हमने बाकायदा पॉलीमर टेम्पलेट को यूज करते हुए, मेटल ऑक्साइड्स के टेम्पलेट को यूज करते हुए, सिलिका को यूज करते हुए सिलेक्टिव सरफेसेस बनाए थे, ठीक है। और उसमें जो ट्रीटमेंट्स होती हैं दे आर बेसिकली केमिकल ट्रीटमेंट। फिजिकल ट्रीटमेंट्स आर नॉट वेरी हेल्पफुल बिकॉज वो आपको एचिंग और इस सब के जरिए तो होती हैं बट एक्सेसिबल नहीं होती, हर लैब में लेजर इक्विपमेंट प्रेजेंट नहीं है, तो मोस्टली बिकॉज हमारे पास लैब इक्विपमेंट लिमिटेड होता है, तो हम कोशिश करते हैं कि केमिकल ट्रीटमेंट्स की तरफ, बिकॉज वो अच्छी पोरोसिटी की तरफ जाते हैं, यू कैन एक्चुअली मॉडिफाई सरफेस वेरी नाइसली। तो हमने इसमें केमिकल ट्रीटमेंट में अगर आप स्पेसिफिकली बात करें तो वो टोटली बेटर डिपेंड करेगा दैट व्हाट टाइप ऑफ प्रोडक्ट यू वांट। अगर आपने रिवर्स फेस बनानी है तो आप ऑक्टाडिसाइलामीन इज अ प्रिकर्सर, आप वो यूज करें। अगर आपने उसके सरफेस पे क्लोराइड लगानी है, ठीक है, सिलिका के, तो आप थाइनल क्लोराइड ट्रीटमेंट करते हैं। अगर आपने उसके ऊपर अमाइनो फंक्शनलाइजेशन लेके आनी है, ठीक है, तो आप जो है उस पर APTS जिसे हम कहते हैं प्रिकर्सर है, ठीक है, आप वो यूज करते हो। So different chemical functionalization are present. You can actually see different articles of my group, of course, जिसके अंदर हमने ये सारी treatments जो हैं वो हाईलाइट की हुई है एंड दे आर रिप्रोड्यूसिबल। आप उसको इजीली रिप्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं बिकॉज वो पाकिस्तान में ही बनाई गई, हमारी ही वर्किंग कंडीशन में बनाई गई है, तो डिजाइन की गई है, तो आप उनको रिप्रोड्यूस भी कर सकते हैं अपनी लैब में।
सही, थैंक यू सो मच। एक और मेरा छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है।
जी श्योर।
अगर हमारे सैंपल में लाइक मेटल्स हों, मेटल कंटेनिंग सैंपल है, जैसे मेरा वर्क मैक्सिन पे था जिसमें टाइटेनियम मेटल, डिफरेंट तरह के मेटल्स हों, तो सम टाइम हमें SEM करने से पहले ना कहा जाता है कि आप इस पे जो है ना वो मेटल कोटिंग कर लें अपने सैंपल पे। तो उसका मुझे कोई रियली आइडिया नहीं है कि मेटल कोटिंग क्यों की जाती है और कौन सी मेटल्स यूज़ की जाती हैं और इसका पर्पस क्या होता है, अगर आप थोड़ा सा
Actually, metal coating is basically done for different. For example, जैसे gold हम coating करते हैं, gold material, gold nano particles को surface के ऊपर लगा दिया जाता है because metals they create hydrophilic interactions. ठीक है, हाइड्रोफिलिक इंटरेक्शन मींस कि आप जो है वो उसको किसी भी हाइड्रोफिलिक ग्रुप के जरिए इंटरेक्ट करवा सकते हैं, उसकी हाइड्रोफिलिक नेचर बढ़ जाती है, ठीक है, वाटर एब्जॉर्प्शन प्रॉपर्टीज बढ़ जाती है, सरफेस उसका बहुत एक्टिव हो जाता है, इसलिए मेटल कोटिंग भी करते हैं। इसका अदर वे राउंड बिल्कुल ये है कि हम प्रोटेक्टिव कोटिंग को भी मेटल कोटिंग कहते हैं। जैसे आप एल्यूमिनियम कोटिंग करते हैं माइक्रो स्केल पे, तो वो प्रोटेक्टिव कोटिंग होती है कि अगर आप रस्टिंग को बचाना चाहते हैं, आप चाहते हैं कि वो जो भी आपकी कोर है वो प्रोटेक्टेड रहे, ठीक है, फ्रॉम वाटर, फ्रॉम मॉइस्चर, तो आप उसके ऊपर सरफेस कोटिंग कर देते हैं फ्रॉम डिफरेंट मेटल। बट मोस्टली जो मेटल कोटिंग जो की जाती है, ठीक है, वो की जाती है टू इनहांस द सरफेस रिएक्टिविटी, ठीक है, और उसके भी मेथड्स जो हैं वो देयर इज अ ह्यूज लिस्ट ऑफ दोस मेथड्स अवेलेबल। वो तो बहुत इजी है टू प्रोड्यूस है इन अ वे कि केमिकल ट्रीटमेंट्स हैं, ठीक है, मेटल, बट ऑफ कोर्स डिपेंड करता है कि आप प्योर मेटल कोटिंग की बात करें तो आप रिडक्शन मेथड यूज कर सकते हैं। अगर आप नैनो साइज यानी कि ऑक्साइड्स की तरफ जाना चाह रहे हैं, मेटल ऑक्साइड्स इंट्रोड्यूस करवाना चाह रहे हैं सरफेस पे, तो आप सोल्जर मेथड, हाइड्रोजन मेथड्स के जरिए उनको कोट कर सकते हैं। तो डिफरेंट बॉटम अप अप्रोचेस जो हैं उसके जरिए कोटिंग की जा सकती है।
ओके, थैंक यू सो मच।
वेलकम।
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time and answering the questions patiently. I think there is no more questions.
Thank you, Kashyap. Thank you so much.
All right, see you at another time.